In Srinagar district of Jammu and Kashmir and other places also, InMind's team has met many families at different places in search of their livelihood. Migration offers some opportunities for indigenous peoples, such as peace and security, and sometimes better social services. But it also has challenges. The current reality for many indigenous peoples who have migrated is poverty, little or no access to education, employment, or other social services, as well as human trafficking, gang-related and other violence. Yes, yet indigenous peoples in nearly all countries remain the most vulnerable health category. They have significantly higher rates of diseases than their non-indigenous counterparts, high mortality rates, and lower life expectancies. Contributing factors such as poor nutrition, lack of access to sanitation and clean water, and inadequate medical services contribute to the increased mortality rates from COVID-19. The educational setup, especially at primary, middle, and secondary level, in almost every part of our country, seems far behind from indigenous communities, and Gujar and Bakarwal community in Jammu and Kashmir in particular is not an exception. Novel policy making and periodic amendment of policies based on research and assessment by experts, and the mandatory inclusion of suggestions from tribal youth, women, and representatives should be an important consideration for the Tribal Affairs Ministry. Today, we have with us some of the seasonal teachers and volunteer educators also from tribal community who have been joining today's event, who may express their opinion as scheduled for today's event. Now, as you might also know, that the theme for this year's International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples is the role of indigenous women in the preservation and transmission of traditional knowledge. Indigenous peoples have developed innovative ways to revitalize their cultures and strengthen their identities, even in the face of structural discrimination and marginalization. Indigenous women, in particular, are central to transfer of culture and knowledge to future generations. But InMind Society, in collaboration with Anthro International, after a month-long field work among tribal communities in Kashmir, has deliberated and intentionally selected tribal development policies and challenges as the topic for today's virtual event. Normally, the anthropologists do not believe the use of the term development